Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
We are talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion part 2. We start off with Todd telling Lisa that asserting that Bronwyn had a miscarriage. Lisa says she understands where it would be hurtful and offensive, but you have to realize when you say things on camera, they live on camera and they can be repeated.
Yeah, Lisa, take your own advice.
Right. Exactly.
Why is she telling him that? Todd
I
didn't
know.
say anything on camera that he's, not happy about.
Right. Andy thought it was admirable the way Todd was really sticking up for Gwen.
I agree.
A viewer asks Angie, why are you holding Meredith accountable for the gay rumor when all she said was there was rumors? You never held Whitney accountable for getting Monica to spill the rumors on camera. Angie said, I know they're off-camera conversations about me. I'll never be able to prove it. Meredith said, you spent 2 years accusing me of something that I didn't do and relentlessly accusing me of doing it. I know. She's like, you've actually done those things to me. In retaliation, you've talked about my marriage. You've talked about my home. You've talked about my business. Sean said, you did. You were on camera saying how Monica could take her home.
Right.
And she did.
Right.
Andy asked, how has she spoken so negatively about your home? Meredith says, well, she says all the time that she's in a rental or an Airbnb. And he said, well, so what if it's a rental? What's negative? Meredith said, well, it's clearly meant to be nasty and shady. No, it's just the facts,
It
actually.
is what it is, Meredith. If you don't
Right.
like it, then buy a fucking house in Salt Lake City.
Exactly.
I mean, it is what it is. You rent. You don't live there all year long. We know this. And you have an open marriage, and your husband does have a side piece in Ohio. Just for the love of God, just say it.
We didn't get there yet.
Oh,
I don't actually even know if we're going to get there. You know, the way they edited this, I thought in the coming attractions, before we saw it, that she was getting up and saying she was leaving about the Ohio thing, but that's not what it was about.
It's not what it was about. It was about this because she gets up to walk away. Did you see Todd's face when she gets up to walk away? He's like, oh, God, here we go.
A viewer asked Meredith, why did you expect an apology from Sean when you leveraged Brooke's sexuality so you wouldn't receive further scrutiny for the false allegations that you made?
Mm-hmm.
And Meredith says, well, I didn't make the allegations. And then they play the clip, and the podcaster asks, after saying, he's the one who asks Sean, after saying,
David Young.
Yeah, it was David Yontef. Meredith, I'm on the board of GLAAD. I would never out someone's sexuality. My son is gay. Is that another roundabout defense? She's using that as saying, why would I be blamed about outing someone's sexuality? Not that there's even a sexuality to even out. That is what Sean was responding to.
Right.
When he said she was using it for leverage.
Right.
So it was a leading question. It wasn't.
Yeah. Sean didn't say the words.
Right.
He just responded to it.
Right.
Again, semantics. But if it were Meredith on the other side, Meredith would use these semantics just like she's using semantics with, I didn't say the rumor, or I didn't say that Sean did this. I just said there was a rumor that, well, you brought it to light. You put it on national television.
Right. Right. And Andy says, that sounds like, is this what we're fighting over? And Angie says, yes. And Meredith shakes her head, yes. And Angie's like, well, it sounds like a huge waste of time. And then Meredith got all bent out of shape. Well, maybe you think it's a huge waste of time. Andy says, no, this interview, it sounds like that guy let him into a thing. Andy asked Sean, do you think she started the rumor? Sean said, well, this was in the middle of it, and I would never disrespect your son. Sean said, during that time, you could have seen how I would have thought that maybe that was a backpedal. Sean said, at that time, I didn't know you well enough to know whether or not you were being honest with me, which is true. And now all the ladies are arguing that Monica is the one who said it. Monica's the one who brought it on camera. It was said at the après-ski day. It was also said at Greek Easter.
Good for Monica still being brought up.
I know, right?
A year later.
And then it's like one side of the couch is arguing on Meredith's side. The other side of the couches are arguing the other way.
At this point, I just want Meredith to leave.
I do too.
I just want her to leave.
I know. And then Andy says, well, the control room is saying that Angie's right. And I'm like, thank goodness. And
yes.
Angie is correct. And Angie said, thank you, justice for Angie and Sean. Meredith said, it's never going to end unless you play it. Actually, I think I'm finished. I'm leaving unless you play the audio. At a pre-ski, when Monica said Meredith didn't say it, I did. Unless I hear it, I was told it would be played at the reunion. I'm finished. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what you're... And everyone is like, Meredith, just sit down. They're all trying to tell her, just sit down. So then Meredith sits down.
I will give him this credit, though. Seth, when he saw her get up, he got up.
Oh, yes, he did.
He did. He got right up.
Yeah. So she finally sits down, and this was actually after they played it. They did play it, and Andy is, listen, they played the footage, and both was said. Andy's telling Meredith that he agrees with her. Then Meredith sits down. So both things were said. Whatever. He's like, I'm moving on.
Yeah,
Thank
like
God.
At this point, I'm so bored. I don't care. Who cares?
Right. Then the next question was, the night of the Mob Wives party, the fight between Justin and John escalated pretty quickly. When you watched it back, did it play the way you remember it? John said that he was embarrassed about my second reaction, and I apologized to Justin, and I apologize again. It wasn't, I didn't want to start a fight. It was to diffuse the situation. They are both kind of laughing when they watch it back. It was worse in their heads than when they saw it, which I can imagine,
Yeah. And they seem like they're in a good place, which is good.
Well, because they're men, and this is stupid shit.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
A viewer said Whitney revealed that John and Lisa allegedly participated in a threesome. Have you ever heard that rumor before? John said he never heard that rumor. Well, Lisa associated John's name with Circle Jerk in Mexico.
Sean's name.
Sean's name. Lisa said, yes, I did. Sean said, I'm never going to get away from this. And I feel like he's never going to get away from this.
I know. I feel bad for him.
I do too. Whitney apologizes for bringing John into that. Whitney said, I wanted to burn that with you because I wanted to apologize. I don't want to say anything about your marriage. I appreciate that. And John said he's cool.
Did Whitney ever say who she was texting?
She said that she texted Angie. When she gave her the when she gave her the phone, she said, I text Angie this after
I'm just wondering, because I mean, I don't think she'd have to worry about Angie, but I'm just wondering if she thought that somebody else was going to bring this text to light and she was trying to get in front of it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, her reason for putting that as her worst text is she wanted to burn her talking about Lisa's marriage. She wanted to burn that conversation. She wanted to move forward. That's why she brought it up. I don't think it was that she wanted to get in front of it. Angie said, I think it was very reckless what was said about Sean. We were just getting over the rumors from last year. It doesn't matter about sexuality. Lecter was trolled on her horse group. Is your dad gay? Angie says, our children are our most cherished things that we all have. When you bring this up, it's reckless. Sorry. You're going to have to take, I got a drink.
Yeah. Well, and she's right. I mean, for their poor daughter to have to endure that is pretty messed up. So,
I totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we move on to, I have, why is Heather being so aggressive with Bronwyn about the emotional affair?
Next thing I have is a viewer said Bronwyn watching Todd reprimand you when you were in the pool sounded more like a parent talking to a child than a husband talking to his wife.
I think they just have that kind of relationship. They're not the only people I know who have that kind of relationship. I don't think it has anything to do with age. I think that Todd is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it.
Alpha. He's very alpha.
He's alpha, but he's a very accomplished. He's a very accomplished man. And she clearly respects him very much. And they do have that kind of relationship where she does want his approval. And that's okay. That's okay. And I think that they just have that kind of marriage where I just feel like they have that kind of relationship. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Like, I just feel like people are coming so hard on social media at it. Like, she wants his approval. That's their relationship, and that's okay.
I agree.
And I don't think it's a father-daughter thing. Like, I think that that's just the way he speaks.
Yeah. So Heather, what was your initial reaction after watching that? Do you see similarities between Todd and your ex-husband? And Heather said, I do. I was married for a long time, and in that kind of relationship, I just wanted to make work no matter what because I wanted to be married. Heather said to Todd, when you spoke to me, you were very positive. And she's referring to at Mary's house, right? It was someplace where they were all at dinner together. I don't know where it was. And it was unseen footage that they play where Heather...
I must have missed this.
Yeah, he tells Heather that she's a beautiful woman because she's talking about how she's like kind of insecure about being alone, that she's a beautiful woman. She's very intelligent.
Bat mitzvah.
Oh, yes, that's where it was. That's actually...
I was just trying to think when they were all together.
Yes, that's where it was. It was at the bat mitzvah. And that she said, you spoke to me and you were very positive and I thought you were amazing. And then they show a scene. That's that scene. Heather said, I didn't see that same energy towards your wife. And it reminded me of how it was when I was married. And Bronwyn, she's acknowledging it. She's like, well, it kind of triggered you. And then Angie said, yeah, we're neighbors. And, we go out and we see Todd all the time. And, they have a great relationship. We actually go to the same gym. And then they show a selfie of Angie and Todd together at the gym.
Yeah.
Because Bronwyn said they send us selfies all the time. I think that's great. I think that's great. I think that's great. That's the stuff I want to see.
Absolutely. And like I said, like that's just their marriage. Like you can't.
Right.
Listen, unless there's some kind of abuse going on, clearly cheating, stuff like that. You don't judge somebody's marriage. What's good for you might not be good for me. What's good for me isn't good for this one. It is what it is.
Exactly. And then the next question is, Justin, why did you not feel the need to stand up for your wife when Seth called her a biatch?
I really like Justin's answer.
Yeah. Justin said he had just committed to himself that he was not going to be a part of the drama. Mm-hmm. He had actually done a morning meditation. Mm-hmm. He didn't realize how aggressive it was until he saw it, and then he regretted it. And Seth said it was aggressive. He also said we started day drinking at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And he apologized. Yeah. I don't really think his apology was all that great because then Whitney's like, well, are you apologizing to me? Because he was still kind of making excuses.
I think he was just trying to be funny. It did definitely come off as aggressive, but I do think he was just trying to have a moment on camera.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that Bronwyn and Angie both came on this show as Lisa's friends and neither one of them are in a good place with her?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting. But it goes back to the fact that, one, Lisa is the queen bee. She's the reason that show exists in Salt Lake City. And she's the one who connects them all together. Which is why
they start the show because of her? Like, is she the Vicky of Salt Lake City?
I don't want to say they started it because of her, but she was like the driving force.
Yeah, because she has the connections with the Sundance Film Festival, like all that stuff. So I would believe it. Like I don't listen. You know how I feel because, and it goes back to Jersey. I don't like that Teresa thinks that the show revolves around her. This is an ensemble cast. I think everybody contributes. I'm not saying that. I'm just wondering if the show was brought to light because of Lisa Barlow's connections. Like Vicky Gunvalson's neighbor wanted to do a show and approached her.
I think so. Yeah. Yes. Andy asked Todd what he thought about Bronwyn sharing with the ladies about his emotional affair. Todd said he didn't watch it. And then Bronwyn kind of started answering, and Bronwyn said, we talked about it. And then Todd said, anything she would have shared would have been more than he wanted her to share, which we knew that.
Of course.
And then Seth asked the question, it was only emotional? And Bronwyn said yes. And then she said, I wouldn't even say it was an emotional affair. There are a lot of people that Todd has conversations with. He goes a little bit further in a conversation than I would have. And then Heather says to Bronwyn, come on, when we were on the boat, said that he had been disloyal. You caught him in an affair. And then they cut to the clip where she said that. She said, he said it's a fatal flaw like in business. He's never satisfied with the deal. He just keeps pushing for the next and the next. And it's hard to turn that off when you get home.
I didn't really understand where she was going with that personally. And I like Bronwyn, but I didn't really follow that very well.
Listen, she said that in the heat of the moment. And I think really what she was saying is that it wasn't an affair. He was a little bit, I don't want to say flirty, but forward.
Right.
He was a little bit forward with a conversation.
Right. And nobody wants that in their marriage.
Right. But when it was brought to him, he apologized and said he wasn't going to do it again. Right. And then Bronwyn says, I told Todd and we talked through it. And then the ring with the 5 new diamonds and the 5 promises. So then Andy and I wanted to know this too. Like, what are the 5 promises? It's support, love, fidelity, transparency, and taking care of Gwen.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So fidelity and there was another word.
Transparency.
Transparency. Those
right.
both indicate that he stepped over a line.
Right.
That she felt he stepped over a line and he acknowledged that he stepped over a line.
Right.
So I don't think she was lying. I don't think someone could say she was lying. Maybe she was just expressing how she felt about it, but it did happen.
Right.
It happened.
Right. And I thought it happened. I felt like when she was telling the story, it was genuine. It wasn't like a made up story that she was just telling. But I felt like the way Heather was going for her.
Totally aggressive.
Yeah. It was
Totally
not called
aggressive.
for. It wasn't called for the way Heather was going for her.
I think that Heather likes that Lisa and Bronwyn are not close. I think it all goes back to Heather just wanting to be with the cool girls. And she's on that couch with Meredith and Lisa, and she is sitting so high on her pedestal.
Yeah. I mean, then the next thing is Andy said, Todd, Bronwyn revealed that it was Gwen that discovered you were messaging another woman. That had to be very difficult. Bronwyn said embarrassing, and Todd said all of this is difficult. And then you see Todd looks really emotional, and Bronwyn whispers to him, you're okay, you're okay. Like, I felt bad for him at that.
I did too.
I really did. I did.
Well, especially after all of the hate he's getting on social media. Like, I just feel like they're coming way too hard at him. Like, you can't watch these shows without acknowledging that everyone's marriage is different and you're going to see different relationships on these TVs. Nobody's hurting anybody.
Right.
Like, I just think people are coming too hard for him.
I do too. I do too.
And he's also on a show with John Barlow who kisses his wife's ass and like, watch your tone. Shut the fuck up, John. He didn't say anything out of line.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
So, of course, compared to John Barlow, he's going to look aggressive.
Then Angie said that she had learned more about Bronwyn's marriage than she did about Lisa's entire life when they were on that boat. And
us too.
Yeah. Lisa only opens up about safe topics and not what's really going on. Angie said, that's not what I was trying to get at. What I was saying is that Bronwyn really didn't know any of us, and she really divulged a lot of information. She put a lot out there. Mary said, well, that's why everyone loves her. She's a fan favorite. I thought that was really nice of Mary.
That was nice of Mary.
A viewer asked Meredith, why do you think it's okay to judge Bronwyn's marriage when your husband has been open about his desire to motorboat Whitney?
Oh, I don't remember that.
So she said, Seth can speak to that. I think it was a joke. Heather said, everyone wants to motorboat Whitney. And Whitney said, he got to do that with the cake when they had
he did do that with the cake.
The cake,
I was
right?
thinking there was a cake involved.
Yeah. Lisa, what was your reaction to seeing Todd call your tequila mediocre? Lisa said, I got to get you through a tequila training course. Todd said, okay, I look forward to it, and asked Todd if he's willing to give her tequila another chance. And he said, absolutely. So that's good.
Yeah, that was good.
What is the status of Seth and Meredith's relationship? We saw that you're in Ohio a lot. Are you living separate lives? Meredith said Seth and I are monogamous. Seth said that he sees Meredith on the weekends, and it's helpful that he doesn't have to see her every day. He was joking about that.
Listen, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for a weekend marriage.
Yeah. Todd jumped in and said, like, people have accused him and Bronwyn of the same thing, saying that they live in different states, but they do what works for them. And Todd, he totally understands the situation, and he agrees with what Seth said. Again, I thought that was
that Todd came to their defense in that. I really did.
I do too.
He just seems like a very honest man, very straight to the point. People might not like the way that, like, we're from Jersey. We get it.
Yeah.
But I liked that he defended them in that situation. I do think that Seth and Meredith have an open marriage, and they're completely being not honest about it. But whatever. Whatever works for them.
Andy said a lot of questions on Twitter wanting to know if you have a side chick in Ohio. Seth said no. He said he has 2 side chicks, and he held up his hands.
Yeah.
That's his only side chick.
Yeah.
The next is tough. The next they show the clip of Mary and her son, Robert Jr.
Yeah.
And Andy says the amount of tweets we got when you shared your story was immeasurable. Mary said she felt the love and support. Andy asked, what did it mean to you? Well, she said, well, it meant that my mission was accomplished. And he said, well, what was your mission? And she said, well, Robert and I came together, And I told him I was going to talk to him. I wanted him to openly tell me what his struggles were, what was going on, because I knew he was absent. She's like, we came together and the cameras went up. I didn't know what he was going to say. I didn't know what was going to come out. I had nothing planned.
Thank God he was on board with being on camera and talking about it. Because a lot of people, like I think Jill Zarin's daughter came out and said he might regret that. But it wasn't sprung on him. It was a conversation they had and he had agreed to it.
Yes.
So, I mean, she may be right. He may in the future, but he at least agreed to it.
I mean, the conversation was if we can help just one person.
Yeah.
So that was the reason that he agreed to do it. And listen, they helped many, many, many people. They helped many people.
Yeah. They're very brave. Both of them were very, very brave. And of course, Mary says she's going to be worried. You're going to worry for the rest of your life, every day for the rest of your life. Listen, I lost 2 nephews to drug overdoses. I worry about my own kids because of that. If you've experienced it in any capacity, you're going to worry for the rest of your life every day that it's going to happen to somebody. But especially, certainly her.
100%.
Being her son and going through this journey with him.
Andy asked, what part of that conversation surprised you the most? He had ideations of suicide, very serious opiates, drugs he was taking. Mary said all of it.
Of course.
All of it. I didn't expect him to say all that. I didn't know what he was doing. And the fact that I was unaware, it scared me. Like, he lives in my house. We're so close. Like, I get that, And how can you know? Because he's isolating himself.
You cannot know. No, and you cannot beat yourself up for not knowing.
No. Then Andy said, talk to me about taking him to rehab. How long was he in rehab? But then he asked the question, but he says, I guess the most important thing is he did actively want to go to rehab. Mary said the fact that he wanted to go, like, he was asking for help. When he opened up to me, that was his cry for help.
Yes.
He wanted to go. He wanted to change things. So then Andy asked again, well, how long did he go? And she said 30 days. And he said, well, what's it been like? She's like, listen, I still worry, things need to change. I think his friends need to change. And she's like, well, has he done that? And she's like, well, yeah, some, it's hard to know, right? It's hard to know. She can't be with him. Yeah. And Andy asked if he has emotional support from any sober people. And she's like, yeah, he goes to the, the AA and his friends and, that he met there.
He has a sponsor, right? Did she say that?
She didn't say that, but I'm sure he probably does. That's how the program works. Then Andy says, for me, hearing him say that he felt like a stain as a mom, that must have been. And of course, that was heartbreaking. Like, sometimes when Andy says these things, I'm like, do you really have to go there?
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, to hear it once out of your child's mouth is hard enough for him. And I know it's a reunion, but she's being very honest and open and telling you everything. Why did you say that?
I know. It really,
wrenching.
It was heart-wrenching. And I really, honestly, I thought it was wrong. I don't think he should have said it.
I don't either. I agree with you.
I don't think he should have said it. Mary's crying. She's like, you don't want to hear your child say that. He's everything. Everyone is crying now. Except for, I don't know if you saw Meredith's face. Meredith did not shed one tear.
Really? Because everyone else was crying.
Everyone else was crying. Meredith did not shed one tear. She's the only one who didn't cry.
Which is interesting because she kind of went through something similar with her nephew, which comes out.
Yeah. Mary said everything he was telling me were his true feelings when he said that I wanted to take everything. I wanted to take everything in me to convince him. Otherwise, like, he's beautiful, he's smart, he's intelligent, he's worthy. I want him to believe that. And she's like, we as humans, like, we're our worst critics. Then another thing.
What she said about Robert Sr., what he said to her was so beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That he said, what'd he say? You're a beautiful mom.
Yeah, Robert's so lucky to have such a great mother. You saved his life. Mary said he commended me. He said he loves me, and I was a beautiful mom. He told me he was proud of me. Andy said, does he say that often? Mary said, no.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say it if he doesn't mean it. So if he said it, he meant it.
Yeah.
But then again, Andy does these stupid things. Like, he asks her, you must feel guilty about this.
Yeah, like, what the fuck are you saying, Andy? Like, she should be in therapy to make sure she doesn't feel guilty about this, because it's nobody's fault.
Right.
People suffer from addiction because it's an illness and it's nobody's fault. And parents harbor this guilt because they don't know how to handle these situations, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And I've seen people do everything imaginable to try to fix it. You can't. They have to want to fix it for themselves. So for a parent to harbor guilt is the worst thing in the world. And why would you ask that question?
Yeah, exact words.
Because he's never been through it. That's why.
Well, his exact question were, well, Andy said you were also beating yourself up. You felt like you had missed this as a mom. Mary said, of course you do as a mom. When you have a relationship with your son, you want to give him the world. You want him to have a better life than you did. Then we find out I moved to New York for 8 years so that he could have the best education and have a diverse atmosphere.
That's amazing.
I know. I didn't want him to be raised like me. I was the only one in my class that was African American. They would play slave movies and the whole class would turn around and look at me. Oh my gosh.
That's terrible.
Heartbreaking. I do blame myself. I feel like somewhere I missed the mark. Mary said everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own testimony. Everyone has their own story. And I feel like that one is for him. And again, Mary, what she did and what her son did, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Who does not love Mary? So the Watch What Crappens guys on Watch What Happens Live, Andy asked them who the MVP of Salt Lake City was, and they said Lisa Barlow. I mean, Mary is clearly the MVP of this season. Stop it right now.
100%.
Oh, my goodness.
Angie said Mary did a great job the way she found the right words in the moment. I 100% agree.
Totally. 100%.
Bronwyn said you're a great example.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. I know Whitney said so. Okay, wait.
Poor Whitney. I forgot. She doesn't talk to her father since season 1. She brought up her father.
Who said this? Let's see. Mary said, okay, what an incredible testament to you that he felt so close to open up to you. I don't know who said that.
I think Heather said something.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that was Heather.
It could be Heather. Yeah, it could be.
And what an incredible testament to him that he was able to speak about it. Oh no, Andy said this. Actually, this was Andy. That he was able to speak about it so eloquently, even though he appeared to be compromised, explaining that he felt like unseasoned chicken and that the drugs made him feel seasoned.
What a smart analogy, though.
That's what everyone said. It was.
Finally, an analogy on a Housewives show that people can understand and made complete sense. Complete sense.
Then he asked Angie, what did it mean to you that Mary opened up to you during this whole process? And Angie said, I felt honored she shared this with me. Andy asked if you connect with Mary because of the situation with your mom and her addiction. Again.
I know.
Angie says, listen, my situation was different because Robert wanted to get help. Mm-hmm. And I was too little. I used to think if I was old enough, like maybe I could have been a part of helping my mom. And then Mary said to her something that she's been waiting to hear for 43 years. I know if your mom could do it all over again, she would do it different.
That's why it's an illness, people.
Right.
It's not a switch you can turn on and off.
And when she
people
said
don't
that,
wake up every morning,
right,
wanting to be an addict. They don't.
No, they don't. They don't. I happened to see a clip today of Bros Show or Bra Bros or whatever we're calling them. I didn't hear the whole episode, but Steele was talking about this exact part, and he was in tears. And he said, this is exactly, thank God. He goes, I had cirrhosis at 27 years old. Imagine if my daughter didn't get to know me, my family, this is, I would have done things different.
Yeah.
And the fact that Mary said that to Angie, that's what Angie needed. And Angie's right. Mary does know the right words to say. And you know what? She is a minister.
Yes.
She is a minister.
Yes.
And you know what? This is a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to know what to say and how to respond.
Absolutely.
That's a gift.
Absolutely.
That's a gift. That is a gift. Mary's a very wise leader, she said. Whitney is very emotional, and she's trying not to make eye contact with Mary because she's just and she's just really crying. Whitney tells us that she hasn't had contact with her dad since season 1, and she watched that with her children, and now they're able to understand why they don't have a relationship with their grandfather. Like, it's hard to explain to kids, and then for them to listen to Robert Jr. and hear it from him, you know. And Mary said, thank you.
Yeah.
Whitney is so grateful that Robert Jr. and his family were brave enough to share this. And then Andy asks if anyone in the group was surprised how close Mary and Angie became. And it's kind of silent. Angie and Mary are both, come on, be honest. And then Heather said, well, it was shocking that Mary's engagement and openness, like she'd never seen that before. Because Mary really wasn't. She wasn't, and she's grateful to know Mary, that those two have had their ups and downs. And she always looked at Mary as like cloud the sunlight would break through. Yeah. And that in that conversation with Robert, she considered, she's also said that when she watched that conversation, she felt like the sun was, breaking through the clouds. But she also said that Mary had counseled her, being Heather, spiritually in the past, which she had because Heather, she lost her church. Yeah. When she, so she did need someone. Like they've had great heart to hearts.
Yeah. But and Mary said Mary felt like having Angie as a friend helped her clock in, which I thought was really nice for her to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, because she felt very close to her.
Yeah.
Andy asks what the update on the church is, if she's still preaching, and are the renovations complete? And the renovations are finally done. They show us a quick picture of it. It's beautiful. She said she's had a few services there, but I guess they're getting back to it slowly. I'm happy to hear all this because I really thought, Heather McDonald said that the church was closed. The church didn't exist.
Yeah, she did.
But I guess the church does exist. I guess it was closed because they were renovating it.
Yeah, maybe they were doing online. Like, we know, like we did church virtually through COVID. So maybe they were continuing it that way.
Right. Right. So I was glad to see that Mary still has her church.
Yeah, of course. But then Andy gets shady again about Mary and Meredith's friendship.
Yeah.
But I thought Mary explained it very eloquently.
She did. She did. Andy asked Mary this season, you seemed light and engaged. What changed? Mary said, I don't know. I guess I felt like, I found a real friend. And then he said, Meredith, you and Meredith had a friendship. Did you not feel support from her? And you could see Meredith looks pissed. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Mary said, Meredith and my friendship is very different. Meredith is a beautiful friendship. She travels all over the world. I felt the support, but it's just different. Meredith said, I wish I could have been there for you.
But then listen, I'm not a huge Meredith fan, but they show the text. Like, she was very sweet in her text. Please reach out to me if you need it. Here's my nephew's information. Like, that's what a friend does.
Right. Right. And Meredith doesn't think that there was a breakdown in the relationship.
Well, Meredith is delusional. Not really. Yeah, she's not clocking into reality, but
yeah. And a viewer asked Mary if she could explain how the tampon stops you from peeing. Mary says it works. You can only leave it in for 6 hours, though. Angie said, yep, she tried it. And Heather tried it, too.
They did? Oh,
yes.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
Andy said he Googled it, and it says it works. I'm not trying it.
I'm not trying it. I don't use those things. Fuck all that toxic shock syndrome.
No.
Hell no.
No. I'll be honest with you. That's all I have. I don't have any other notes. I do know that something did happen after that. I just stopped taking notes.
Well, Mary said to Angie, you need to work it out with Meredith because I love her.
That is
true. That was very sweet. That's the last note I have.
Yes, that did happen.
Yeah.
That did happen.
I mean, listen, it was a good reunion. We have one more episode?
I guess we do.
Yeah. I mean, I want resolve. We always say this. We want to see them get along. We don't like the mess. So we kind of, I don't think we got resolved with Bronwyn and Lisa. We'll see what happens next week. But I'm glad that they gave Mary a good chunk of time because that's important. Like, that's what we need to, that it can't be the whole show, clearly, but the fact that she talked about it and her son talked about it, that's huge, because so
Yeah.
many people are going through that. And it's a very difficult thing to talk about. It's very difficult for families to go through. It affects every single person in the family. So whoever's out there watching it will appreciate this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm glad it was brought to light. I really am.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we have to see Brittany next week.
Oh, that's right. There's definitely another episode because we haven't seen Brittany yet. I love the fact that she and Angie showed up with the same dress and Angie was like, bitch, please
Yeah.
take it off. Call somebody, tell them to run to Macy's and get you a new dress. And clearly that's what happened.
Or, yeah, I mean, maybe she brought 2 dresses, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, her dress was super cute. I love a short dress. Brittany's dress was cute.
I thought her dress was cute. I did think I mean, I know Lori didn't like it. I thought it was cute.
I thought it was cute. I mean, it's straight up like to me like is like, but that's what I like.
Yeah, I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. Like I said, we haven't seen Brittany yet, and hopefully we wrap up some more stuff. And I guess that's it, right?
That's it. I don't think there's anything extra, right, going on. We are gonna talk about the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively thing. We have to do that sooner rather than later.
Okay, we'll have to plan an episode where we talk about that because there's a lot. We got to add Ryan Reynolds into it now too because there's a lot going on. And Taylor Swift.
It's so hard to follow.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Oh, and Shane and Emily came up with their second episode. They have another episode. I didn't listen to it yet.
Listen to it tomorrow.
I didn't listen to it yet. I just saw there's a second episode on it.
I listened to both of them and the Bravo docket, which I love. I did feel like Emily and Shane break it down more simply. The Bravo docket, I mean, they're all lawyers. All 4 of them are lawyers, but I feel like the Bravo docket really, the terminology they use, like if you're not, and I work for lawyers.
Right.
I just feel like Shane and Emily kind of break it down simpler.
Yeah, I agree.
For anyone out there who's looking for a more simple breakdown.
And we'll give you our simplest of all simple breakdowns.
We will be the simplest.
Did you listen to that other one I told you about?
Not yet. I'll listen tomorrow. I have to clean my entire house tomorrow. I have a lot of work, so I'll plug in. I'll put my, my pods in, and
that's a good idea. I have to clean out my closet. My closet is a disaster. I have to get rid of clothes. I think that's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to put in my AirPods, listen to some.
Yeah.
Get the closet cleaned out.
Obviously it's February 1st. I put all of my Christmas stuff away, but I feel like there's a couple of times a year where you really clean your house, I mean, I clean my house, people.
No, we know
I'm
that.
Just saying, you know what I mean? I just feel like my house is still untidy from Christmas. There's still wrapping paper out in my back room. It's February 1st. Nobody's wrapping Christmas presents anymore. This shit needs to go away.
Yeah.
So I gotta get stuff and put it back up in the attic, and so that's my plan tomorrow. And I have to clean my bathroom, which is the thing I hate most in the world. I absolutely hate it, but I have to do it every week.
I'm not a fan either. I'm not a fan of cleaning the bathroom either.
I'm ready to pay somebody just to come clean my bathroom.
Really?
I swear on the Bible, I'm ready to do that.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I only clean my bathroom, and the boys clean the other 2 bathrooms, or the bath and a half, because I'm sorry, they live here. They can clean a bathroom.
I totally agree with you. So, I would do that. Nobody would clean it the way I'd want them to, though. Not a damn one of them.
Matthew's the best cleaner. Nobody really does a job. Matthew's a really good cleaner.
Really?
He takes pride in his cleaning, too. He's a very good cleaner. He cleans better than I do.
That's great, though.
I know.
I don't think Joe's cleaned a fucking thing in his whole life. Except himself.
No,
Tess was her room.
Yeah.
My mom just said it to me today. So I have 2 sisters. And my mom said, I never made you guys help around the house because her mother, my beloved Nana, made her do everything. My mother did everything growing up. So when she had 3, she didn't make us do anything. And I was like, well, that wasn't great either. She's like, no, but thankfully you all 3 turned out to be good housekeeper. responsible and keep our houses tidy.
Right. You
But
figured it out.
I didn't set the table. I didn't clean the table. I didn't do my laundry until I moved out.
Wow.
I did nothing. But now that's what I do with my kids. Tess does her own laundry and cleans her room, but the other one he don't do shit. He doesn't even bring his laptop in to charge it overnight half the time for school.
These kids. Yeah. Okay. Until next time. Thank you for watching and listening. Bye.
Bye.